Hey everybody, come on in. Just going over, sharing some of this out a little bit, and then I'll get started on it. Alright. So I think I got that shared out. I'll go ahead and get started. This is Jason with JRRC. Today I'm going to be going over the JMT Pro, the JMT Pro RC and RT is the chassis, which is the RC, and then the T is the truck. Essentially they're both the same as far as how you put them together. These kits are a complete teardown and rebuild. So you will have to take your LMT pretty much completely apart, because a lot of the components on there are switched over to the JMT chassis. And what you'll notice too is, on which we'll get to in a bit, you're going to need a servo extension or something if you have one, or if you have a kit like I do. I just get a kit off of Amazon. It's got the cable and then all the connectors and stuff for the different stuff you can do to extend it, because now your electronics are in the back of the truck and not the front, because the way this is set, it's set to put the majority of the weight forward to help keep the front end down. A lower center of gravity, because the chassis is substantially lower than the stock, as well as the battery and everything sits a little bit lower in the truck than the stock does. Let's see. So to get to the point of the complete truck, just imagine, if you will, this is your LMT with the pieces bolted onto it. So basically what you do is you're going to take off all the pieces, and the easiest way to do this is you can take all the pieces off like I did on this side, which is the driver's side or left side of the truck. You take all the screws out of all your supports, and also unbolt the chassis along here on both sides. Take the plates off, and if you want, you can take the plates off and just leave the center section and then disassemble the center section from there. What you'll need to do eventually, you're going to take all the pieces off, so you might as well go ahead and take all the brackets off, because the Pro comes with its own cross pieces. As of this video, it's February 19th. The kits are being sent out with printed cross supports, because the 7075 8mm 7075 cross supports did not come in time. And instead of keeping you guys waiting, I'll send them out with these, and then once I get the cross supports in, they'll be mailed out. You just swap them out with what you've already got here. It makes it pretty easy. There's only, depending on how you set it up, there's 4 or 5 cross supports depending on how many you set up for the truck. It also comes with some new front cross member, which kind of hard to see here. The front cross member that comes off the stock, that's replaced with a printed one. Let's see. And then you'll also get, so there's your front cross support. It's actually wider. It's wider than stock, because the Pro chassis doesn't have the offset frame mounting. Hey, what's going on? What's up, James? It doesn't have the what was I saying? Sorry, it didn't have the same mounting as here. It's one solid chassis, so instead of stepping in with the bolt-ons, it actually stays the same. So it's about 6mm wider than stock. So these take the place of that. And then these here are printed shock tower supports that come with the kit. And then, like I said, you'll also get these cross members here that you can put in any configuration you like to do whatever. Because like on the Pro, You see, maybe I put Velcro across here and then across the top to mount the body to with the Velcro, and they also come with a cross support, which is right here, and that is made to go on the top of the cage, just to kind of give you like a roll cage kind of feel. But you can swap it out and put two of the metal ones when they come in, or you can keep this because it works just the same, and it gives it a little bit of form or look. So, but anyways, let's see here. Alright, so after you get your front and rear wings, I guess if you will, or the front and rear part of the chassis pieces off the truck, take off all your shock mounts, take off all your cross supports and everything, because depending on how you're going to set it up with the Pro, it was more, I mean, you can set it up however you want. I set it up more so as a race style, where it has the lower mounted trailing arm shocks, but you can always use the stock shock mounting locations because they are the same on either the bolt-ons or the Pro, so no matter which way you go, you can use the stock locations. On the bolt-ons, you have your option to use the stock sway bar, or you can use the provided sway bar that comes with the kit and go that route instead. So just a little bit different on the chassis. The Pro chassis, I don't have one sitting here. The Pro chassis does not have the stock sway bars. It's deleted, and it comes with the heavy duty keyed sway bars that I have, and so that's the sway bars that we would use, just like what's on here, front and rear. I have them mounted inverted, just to give me a little bit different travel, because depending on how you set this up, the shock location will determine kind of how everything's going to work. If you're using the shock mounted, you can move. If you're using the shock mounted up here, you can move your sway bars back a little bit and reposition them and get different angles. So you got a lot of tunability with the sway bars in that regard. But aside from that, anybody that's there watching, sorry bouncing back and forth. I'm just trying to make sure I cover everything as quickly as I can, because these are going out and some people had some questions. But yeah, so once you get all that apart, you're going to notice on the bottom of the transmission there's several bolts here. Alright, and they are 2mm Allen wrench or Allen key. You're going to take those out. There's 4 of them in total. 2 of them hold the differential plate on, and 2 of them attach the differential to the skid plate. And make sure you get all the dirt out. I'm just using a regular 1.5mm. That way you don't strip them out like I just started to do. Alright, so once those are all out, your cover comes off here. You can set that out of the way because it's not going to do you any good right now. Then you're going to swap out to a 2.5mm bit. I'm using the MIPs, and then you can see there's four holes, 2 on either side. Dang it. Yeah, see the 2 holes left and right? Those they actually lock the differential into the housing. So you're gonna take those out. Well, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. Go ahead and loosen them up. Just be mindful when you're taking these apart that you kind of keep track of what went where, what came from where. I spent my my career working on jet aircraft engines, so I've kind of got used to, admittedly, whether it's good or bad, kind of having a system set up my own, which is not really a system at all, but it works for me. But anyways, so you're going to pull those two pieces out, and that's all they are there. They just hold the differential in place. Then you can get in there, you can take your pieces off. There's also one more screw on the top of the case right here that is a 2mm. Where'd you go? There it is. And once you take this out, you can separate the case and everything. Alright, so once that's out, you got to take out your final two side bolts here. And then that piece comes off. And keep in mind, reuse your headers. Your headers will go back on the new chassis as well. Now for this side, you have the drive side, or the motor mount side. It works the same way. Take out your two side screws here. And I'm going to be replacing these with stainless, so I guess it really doesn't matter that I'm taking it apart. But now you just pop that off, and it comes off the bottom of the chassis. And what you're left with is your differential right here. And the reason why you got to take these pieces here out is because they actually bolt into the piece that is stuck right now to this chassis. So once you get all that apart, you go ahead and take your screws out of your differential case, or your center diff, transmission, whatever you want to call it. Alright, so you take that apart. Yeah, watch out, they'll fall, pieces will fall out. I will be getting into sealed bearings for this at some point. I have not yet. Actually, I'm wondering, now that I'm looking at it, if these bearings aren't the same. How about that? Sweet. Well, I guess I will be putting sealed bearings in there when I put it back together. Same bearings I have for the front rear axles fit in there just perfectly. So that will be going back together with all sealed bearings when I'm done. Right now I'm just trying to show you how to do this. Okay, so now you have the transmission. If you look closely on the shaft there, you have a C-clip. That C-clip has to come out. You can use a jeweler's flathead or something. Actually, I guess it don't. I stand corrected. Never mind. It comes out with it, just pops right out. I forgot. But anyways, so then all you're left with is that outer housing that needs to come off, and that's going to be your 1.5 millimeter. And be careful when you're taking these out, because it is a 1.5. They do strip out very, very easily. And it really doesn't, I mean, it does matter, but it doesn't if you damage the chassis having to get them out, because you're putting a new chassis in anyway. So, but ideally you don't want to damage any of them, because you need to reuse them. There is a stainless steel kit available for these. So I mean that could be an option if you wanted that as well. But then that piece, take the 3 screws out of the back of it, that piece pops out, and then right here you have your transmission. So yeah, let me go ahead and swap those out real quick while I'm thinking about it. Because it's these 3, I think it's 3 bearings. Yeah, there is a 4th bearing, but it's already sealed. It's inside the cover there. It's already a sealed bearing down in there, so that don't need to be replaced. Oh no, those are not the same size. Alright, well, let me see here. Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope this is helping. Like I said, the kit themselves, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, I think. But if you just take your time with it, make sure you get all your pieces and parts where they need to be, then everything should be fine. Well, I got the right size bearing, but it's too thick, so I'm gonna have to research and get some of those so I can have these available as well. So yeah, but anyways, so one of the bearings got replaced, but these other two will have to stay the same. But anyways, so that's how you tear it down. I know it was kind of quick and everything, but like I said, you'll reuse your headers, you'll reuse your 3 cross members that are here on the center chassis that come with it. Hey, what's up, Jason? I gotta get up and see this. I can't read from this hanging out. Yeah, stay safe out there. Yeah, I don't know what's up with the weather, but even here, I don't even know what the temperature was. Yesterday it was almost 90 degrees yesterday here in Florida. And then today or last night we had a lot of rain, and it's starting to cool off. It's supposed to be in the 30s over the weekend, so that'll be fun. But yeah, stay safe out there. The headers come off, like I said. The center supports here come off. Basically everything else that has to do with this chassis, besides the shock mounts themselves, can go somewhere else, because you will not need that. Let me go grab a chassis. Give me a second. Alright. So here we have the Pro RT. This one I don't have built up yet. I may or may not. I don't know. I have the Pro RC done up. But anyways, you're on the Pro chassis. If you look, you have the same mounting, everything for the gear case mounts up there. You have your holes for your motor mount, so you can use different size spur gears. They're not labeled for, like the Locias, they're not labeled for a couple different reasons. One, because the holes, they're fairly close, but they're not identical. But also because I didn't want to copy it completely. So it's kind of left up to you to place it wherever you want. The stock, I will tell you that the stock spur fits pretty much in the same identical location as the 14 tooth, the stock for the truck, because the bolt pattern was based off of that number and then adjusted for different types of spurs that you might put on there. So it will be the same. Now, on my chassis, which I'll show you here in a minute, that I have built up, I did it a little bit different because the ESC and motor that I'm running are plugless. I don't know what you technically call it, but they're soldered onto the motor and the ESC. But there is this oval shaped hole or egg shaped hole right here next to where the battery or the ESC and receiver tray sits. There's a little egg shaped hole right here. That's where it's designed, that's where your cables will go through to go to your motor. And on mine, since they were already soldered together and I didn't want to take them apart, you can see I didn't use that hole right there below my finger. I crossed it back and brought it back through the chassis and then down between the battery tray and the chassis. So so it's all tucked inside the chassis. You can do that as well if you have enough battery cable or power leads for the motor. 'Cause this is running a sensored setup, so I had to use the extended sensor lead and everything, but it all worked. Ideally, I would have run it through here or through this oblong hole and then soldered it onto the motor once it was in the truck, just to make sure that it was routed properly. But the way it's routed right now is perfectly fine. It's not going to hurt anything. Hasn't hurt anything on this. I've been running it like this since I've had it. So, and on the bolt-on chassis, it doesn't really matter because there's plenty of open space to where you can do that. And on this, there's literally just enough room between the battery tray and the motor to where you can get everything in there. This also, there's extra holes throughout the chassis here. See all the holes there? You can also take, I have a modular electronics kit that you can use to where you can completely get rid of the internals here if you wanted to, which I don't see why you would, but if you wanted to, you can get rid of the internals here and go to the modular kit, which you can put your battery tray wherever you want. You can put your electronics wherever you want. But this setup seems to work pretty good the way it is in stock. Just everything is flipped around 180 degrees, so now your battery's in the front instead of in the back, which ideally should and does help with weight transfer. It makes it fairly easy to control in the air. I mean, I haven't had any issues. It flies really nice, lands really nice. There's a couple videos out there of running it where I actually bent the lower links, the grub screws. They're still bent right now, but it works just fine. It doesn't bother it at all. And I think what helped that is when it fully compressed, the last time I jumped it, the chassis actually smacked the ground and helped prevent it from going any further. Because when you're running a shock setup on your trailing arms, and you shouldn't be bashing it with that kind of setup. That kind of setup is more for race. I mean, it jumps and lands perfect. I couldn't ask for it any better. But this setup here is more for a race type setup, or just going out and doing some scale driving, doing some little box jumps and things like that, jumping curbs and little hills. It's not meant for doing what I do to it and launch it 40 feet off of a 4-foot ramp. But it can take it, obviously, because after the last video I had, I haven't done anything with it. I replaced the servo horn again because I strip those out all the time. I did get one of these, the 25 tooth stock Losi piece that I'm going to put on there. But let's see how long I've been on here. 24 minutes, not bad. If anybody's got any questions about this, I see a couple guys on there that's been asking me some questions about this. If you got any questions, now would be the time to ask so I can answer them. I think I've covered everything that people had concern with. The gas tank, I'll point this out. The gas tank here, you can put back on your truck like I did here. So you can still have your realistic look. You just take there's a screw on the bottom, you take that apart, it splits the tank in half, and where back here where the cage would normally be on the stock chassis, that's where you'd mount the gas tank, and that's where you put your bolt through for the third mounting for the wheelie bar, because the wheelie bar will be extended out. If you look there, it's a stock wheelie bar. It's just slid out on its shaft a little bit on each side, so it's still the stock wheelie bar. Then you get a new cross support also for that. That braces that because the stock one's too narrow. You can see on there, I'm running the sponsor plates. Your stock sponsor plates still fit on there, on both sides. It comes with screws. There's 4 or 7 Phillips screws that come with it. But you'll cover up, basically you're just covering up the JERRC logo on the one side, and then it's normal on the other side. So yeah, so I tried to incorporate as much of the stock setup or stock parts as I could, just for the simple fact that, one, it's faster and easier to make, it's cheaper for you guys to get, and just, I mean, in my opinion, it's all around just a better way to go about it. Let's see. So yeah, all this stuff on here is the Pro RC. I got the HD sway bars that come with the kit. I got the trail axles front and rear with the hubs and knuckles and all that good stuff. I've got the these here, which are the 17 millimeter hex. They're 25 millimeter standoffs for J Concept wheels. These are a set of the prototypes that I have. The production should be starting on those here shortly, and should have them in hand probably mid-March or so. I should have those in hand, maybe late March. But again, these will fit pretty much any 17 millimeter hex. So if you wanted to put your LMT wheels on something else, you could do that. Or not your LMT, but your J Concept wheels, you can put them on pretty much anything 17 millimeter. I do have plastic ones available now. I have regulation size, which puts the wheelbase of the truck, or not the wheelbase, but the width of the truck right at 16 inches. Because with the 25s, you're at 16.5 with the 25 millimeters. So basically, you're taking 10 millimeters off each side. Where you reduce it down with Tributes and Renegades, it'll put you right at 16 inches, which is regulation for most tracks and places that you race. The wheelbase on this is stock wheelbase, 13 and a quarter ish. I am working on a long wheelbase kit. I have the links and everything pretty much figured out, but the drive shaft is the issue right now, because you can only extend about 10 millimeters on either side, which only gives you 3/4 of an inch extra length, and you can accomplish that yourself without any kit by getting the Tekin rod ends. I forget which vehicle they come off of, but they're just a Tekin 3 millimeter ball and 4 millimeter threaded end, and that will extend you out and give you a long wheelbase. You'll need that on the upper and lower links. And then once I get the actual kit out, which will hopefully be in the next couple of months, I'll actually have a long wheelbase kit with the drive shaft. I'm working right now on a couple solutions for that, and hopefully we'll be able to make that happen. But time will tell on that. So, but I'll keep the page posted and go from there. But anyways, so this is the Pro RC once again. Just a quick breakdown. I know I'm rambling, just kind of moving on here, but basically just taking it from a stock truck into this. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I run this truck here with a Hobbywing XR8 with a 3660 can motor, 4300 kV, and I'm running on 3S. The motor itself is only rated for 2S, but it works really well. It doesn't overheat or anything, because you're not really typically going all out with these things all the time like you do with a typical basher or racer or anything like that. You're doing short spurts, but it works really well on 3S. 2S is pretty good as well, but I prefer 3S for doing tricks and flips and stuff like that. 2S will do it, it's just not as responsive, especially for launching it. You want to have a lot of punch and control, and with the 2S, you just, if you're sending it pretty pretty hard, pretty far. It's not, in my opinion, substantial enough to do that. But yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching. I hope this helps everybody. All the kits that were pre-ordered and everything have already gone out, so everybody should be receiving theirs either today or through next middle of next week. Everybody should have them. If you guys have any questions or problems, please feel free to reach out to me on Facebook or text or whatever it is. Let me know. I'll be happy to walk you through it. I just kind of wanted to touch bases on a video here to kind of let everybody know roughly how to take things apart. Like I said, just keep track of your parts and pieces of where they come from, and then that way you can get them all put back in the proper place. But it's fairly simple once you get to taking it apart. Just keep track of your parts and pieces. Don't lose your hardware. Don't strip anything out. If you have any questions or problems, just let me know. That's all I got for this. I won't keep you guys anymore. Thanks for watching. And if I have enough questions coming in, then I'll address them probably in a separate video or in the comment section. But yeah, here's my mortise body for it. Fits it pretty good. The camera makes it look almost like a shrunk down Jeep or something. But anyways, the camera's out of proportion on my thing. But anyways, alright guys, you have a good weekend. Everybody stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next video.